From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Come Monday, patience will be a virtue when traveling down Main Street in the Heights. The orange cones and caution signs will once again mark the beginning of another construction season as a nearly $8 million project is set to get underway. This Monday, traffic on Main Street in the Heights will be delayed because of a project to repave and add improvements. That $7.75 million project will have crews busy on a 3-mile stretch for a project that could last into the fall. Q2's David J. talked with the project manager.
Russ, the Department of Transportation has some of the signs out along Main and also along 4th warning of the upcoming construction. And right here, this is where the first delays will happen, right at 1st Avenue North. That's where the construction starts. I'm not sure how long those delays will be, but Main Street is among the busiest in the state.
Do get significant traffic loads through there, and so there is significant wear on that surface. Very high average daily traffic, 35,000 to 40,000.
The Main Street Billings Improvement Project construction will start once again at 1st Avenue North near Metro Park, move through the Heights out to the intersection of Main, Highway 87, Bench Boulevard, and Highway 312. Some of the work will be similar to what was recently completed on 27th Street. Crews will be milling and paving at night. The project also includes constructing ADA-compliant sidewalk corners, replacing raised medians, upgrading storm drain grates, and traffic signal improvements.
We are aware that this is a major thoroughfare through the Billings Heights community and that there will be impacts and there will be workers out there present. Safety is a top priority for us out there. We're partnered with Knife River here in Billings as our prime contractor, and I know safety is at the top of their list as well. So please be patient with us in the area. Be careful when you're seeing workers out there, and we're going to do our best to deliver a project that the taxpayer can be proud of.
Sean Sampson says you can keep updated on the construction. It's on this frequently asked questions page. You can find numbers for the phone, text, also email and mail. And he says that will be here on this page. And this is also on the website. We do have a link to this on our story at ktvq.com. Russ?
All right, thank you. David J. reporting tonight. Well, there's no estimated date for completion, but the project is expected to be finished by the end of this year. New tonight, the question of whether the Dakota Access Pipeline can continue to operate during a lengthy environmental review of the project remains an open question. At the close of today's hearing in Maryland, a U.S. District Judge granted a 10-day continuance after the Biden administration declined to intervene in the case. Today's hearing had been delayed since February to give the Biden administration additional time to consider the case. Attorneys for the Army Corps of Engineers had been expected to say whether it would force the pipeline to temporarily stop pumping oil, but instead they told the court the Corps is still evaluating the situation. Now it appears the final decision will be up to the court. Now, DAPL hauls 570,000 barrels of Bakken crude oil each day to Midwest and Gulf Coast states. It's the largest pipeline serving the entire Bakken region. Environmental groups and indigenous leaders have lobbied the Biden administration to temporarily shut off the oil. Instead, the president wants to allow the pipeline to operate while the Corps conducts a more complete EIS. During the pipeline's construction in 2016, climate activists and Native American tribes protested against DAPL for months, clashing at times with law enforcement. Eventually, the Trump administration authorized the pipeline's permit, and it began operating in 2017. Oil industry experts warn that U.S. crude markets will be disrupted if the primary link from the Bakken region is shut off. Well, the man doing time for attempted homicide is wanted again after walking away from the Alpha House Men's Pre-Release Center in Billings last night. A warrant for felony escape has been issued for 43-year-old Edward John Grogg. Grogg was sentenced in Flathead County in 2005 on the attempted homicide charge. He's described as a white male, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 184 pounds, with gray hair and blue eyes, has a number of tattoos on his arms. Anyone with information about Grogg is asked to call law enforcement immediately and should not approach him. Well, crime is an increasing concern for many people who call Billings home. As the city has grown, so has the number of crimes being committed for the most part, and that trend continued in 2020. Today, the Billings Police Department released its annual report for the past year, and even though we're in a pandemic, criminals didn't take much of a break. Billings police were busy in 2020, again responding to more calls for the third straight year. Police were called out 96,473 times in 2020, up nearly 2,000 calls from the previous year. It was a particularly violent year in the Magic City, with homicides taking a big jump. Take a look here. Police investigated 16 homicides in 2020. That was up from just 3 in 2019 and 5 the year before. Now, 15 of them, 68%, were solved. Total aggravated assaults also jumping from 513 in 2019 up to 781 last year. Robbery offenses rose from 104 in 2019 up to 138 last year. And burglary offenses also on the rise from 585 in 2019 up to 738 last year. And motor vehicles continue to be a big target for thieves. After a drop in 2019, the number of stolen vehicles jumped to 858 in 2020, the highest number in at least 10 years. Now, those are just a few of the statistics in that report. And while many crimes did go up, drug offenses dropped for the second straight year. Chief Rich St. John will be discussing the report and taking questions in a public Facebook Live event. That'll be next Tuesday evening at 6:30. Meanwhile, you can read that entire report right now on KTVQ.com. The Montana House has endorsed a bill that would let the public ask for an election to change local health boards' actions. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports it's the latest in a series of bills this session aimed at putting boundaries around the authority of health boards and health officers.
Montana House members voted 66 to 34 Friday in favor of Senate Bill 108. Supporters of the bill said the public needs to have a greater voice in local health orders. The bill would require an election if 5% of voters in a health board's jurisdiction sign a petition seeking to undo or amend their action. If a majority of voters approved the change, the board wouldn't be able to reinstitute the order. SB 108 is one of a number of bills introduced in the wake of COVID-19, when many Republican lawmakers say health restrictions were too stringent and harmful to businesses. They say this bill would ensure boards listen to the public. Opponents of the bill acknowledged many people were unhappy with health boards' decisions, but said they did the best they could with limited information about COVID.
The health departments were scrambling to keep their residents safe, and I view this as just another bill to block the health departments from doing the work that they need to do.
I think this bill really sends a very good statutory reminder to the folks that are making these decisions that, hey, you answer to the public, you answer to the citizens, and they're looking over your shoulder and they want to make sure what you're doing is right.
Several other bills on emergency health regulations are still moving forward. House Bill 121 would let county commissions or city councils modify or remove a health board's directive. It has passed both chambers and is going to Governor Gianforte's desk. House Bill 257 is set to be heard by the full Senate. It would prevent localities from requiring businesses to enforce certain health orders. SB 108 was heavily amended in the House. If it passes a final vote in the House next week, the Senate will have to vote on whether to accept the changes. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
All right, turning to Chris DeRose in the Weather Center. You're keeping an eye on some watches and warnings right now, Chris.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a mixed bag coming our way. So tomorrow it's going to be warm, then it's going to get cold. Right now on the radar, not a whole heck of a lot going on. But if we flip over to the watches, warnings, and advisory map, off to our western part of the state, we've got wind advisories and even a small winter weather advisory. And to our north of Billings, we have a lake wind advisory for Fort Peck Lake. And as we look a little closer into that goes for both Saturday and Sunday. You might be thinking a nice day to kind of get out on the lake. Winds could be gusting up to 40 miles per hour, could cause some rough waves. And we have a couple of other wind warnings throughout the region that I'm going to tell you about. Temperature-wise, well, we're going to go up and then we're going to go down. So stay tuned. I got more information coming your way in the full forecast in just a few.
All right, thanks, Chris. If you'd already packed up your skis or snowboard for the season, might be time to break them back out. With recent snowfall and cooler days ahead, Red Lodge Mountain will be adding 2 bonus days to its season. Next Saturday, April 17th, and next Sunday, April 18th. Red Lodge will have the lifts up and running from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. This Sunday had been slated to be the last day of the season. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, a crime on one Montana farm